All right, today we're going to finish up the last of the 10 videos that will cover all of the questions related to the Constitution that I sent you on Moodle. So today we're going to take up the judicial branch, Article 3, and we're going to be doing questions B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Okay, so pretty easy stuff. Let's get through it. What are the qualifications to be a judge? Okay. Turns out, according to the Constitution, there are no qualifications. Sort of weird. There's no minimum age. There's no minimum education. You don't have to be a citizen. Nothing. The framers of the Constitution talked about members of Congress. They talked about the president, but they didn't talk about the judges. They simply assumed that George Washington would figure out what the qualifications were, and he would institute it, and subsequent people would follow it. But the correct answer is there are no qualifications to be a judge. Okay, number 2, how are judges selected? Turns out that the president selects the judges, and then the Supreme, let me make sure I say it right, the U.S. Senate confirms the appointment. So the president goes through and they identify people that they would like to see on the bench. Usually they're lawyers or law professors. And then they send those names to the Senate. And the Senate goes through and makes a determination, a simple vote yes or no, whether they want them to be judges. Okay? How long is their term in office? This is the cool thing. It is a lifetime appointment. Yes, indeed. Judges, federal judges, serve for life. There is no term limit. Pretty cool job. You know, they get all sorts of power. They have a nice salary. If you're at the district court level, your salary is probably about 150,000. If you're on the Supreme Court, it's more than 200,000 in some cases. And you know, you get a pension system that pays you the same salary that you were made while you were working. You get that same salary as a retired person. It's not a bad job, and you get it for life. Now, think about that for a second. One of the interesting things we have to deal with is that sometimes judges go a little, well, let's just say they get old and sometimes they don't do very well. There was one Supreme Court justice who apparently, in his opinions, would quote birds that he talked to and trees that were on his property. What can you do? It's a lifetime appointment. Okay, so sometimes those things happen. Okay, what is the power of judges in courts? Okay, the power of judges in courts is very simple. It's the judicial power. It's the power in the end to determine if something is constitutional or not. It's not a bad power, okay? In the end, they sit there and specific evidence, specific situation comes in, and their job is to see if that situation fits into the Constitution. So, you rob a bank. Well, is that a violation of constitutional norms? Okay, that's really what they do. So they interpret the Constitution in the context of very specific things. Okay, what kind of cases do they hear? Well, I thought I would just bring out the Constitution on this. And what does it say? The judicial power shall extend, oh, I just lost it. There we go. Shall extend in all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made. Okay? And to all cases involving ambassadors, public ministers, to all cases of admiralty, that means law of the sea, what goes on in the ocean, and parties to which the United States might be a controversy to which the United States might be a party. Okay, also differences between states, as we've already talked about, in other videos, and issues between a state and a citizen of another state. Okay, so nothing really special about that. So if you're involved in a dispute, you live here in Texas and you're involved in a dispute with Oklahoma, that's a federal case. Okay, so that answers the question, what kind of cases can they hear? So that would be question F. Let's go to question G. What is the power of impeachment and who can it be used against? Constitution talks about impeachment several times. And in our American government class, we've already seen impeachment being used against the president. It's hard to imagine with all this coronavirus stuff, but just go back a little bit more than a month ago, all we were talking about was impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. So impeachment is simply the power to kick someone out of office. Who can be impeached? Well, the president, the vice president, members of the president's cabinet, and also judges and justices of the Supreme Court. They can all be impeached. Okay? And as we've talked about before, the House of Representatives brings up charges against somebody. Okay? They vote, simple majority. This person did something wrong. Then they send those charges to the Senate, and the Senate has a trial. Senate needs 2/3 to convict. If someone's convicted, guess what? They're out of the job. If they're not convicted, they stay in their job. Okay. Now, I bring all that up because there is a really interesting thing that took place once. There was a federal judge, district court judge in Miami, who was charged with a crime. Okay, basically bribery. And, well, he said he was innocent, not guilty. Case went to trial. He refused to resign from his position as a federal judge. So the case went to trial. He was found not guilty in the trial, but there was evidence of bribery at that trial. But he was found not guilty, and he didn't resign. The House decided this is ridiculous. We have a federal judge who was charged with bribery and other crimes, was found not guilty, but he was found not guilty in a process that was tainted by bribery. So they decided to impeach him. So they impeached him, sent over the Senate. Senate convicted him, threw him out as a federal judge. Now, what would you do if you were a federal judge and you got impeached and convicted and were found not guilty by a jury? Okay, so you've lost your job, but you still believe that you are innocent and a jury said you were innocent. What would you do? Well, this judge turned and decided to run for Congress. And he actually ran for Congress and he won. And he today represents the city of Miami in the United States Congress, an impeached and convicted federal judge. His name is Alceste Hastings. Okay? He was impeached and convicted, and he could not become a judge again, but he could become a member of Congress, and that's where he is today. Pretty amazing. Okay, what is treason and what must be done to prove it? I bring this up because this is actually in the 3rd article of the Constitution. Treason against the United States, I'm reading the Constitution, Article 3, Section 3. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. So in other words, if you're involved in fighting against the United States or giving aid and comfort to our enemies, no person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or confession in open court. Okay? Treason is pretty serious, very serious. And conviction can only come with the testimony of 2 witnesses, or you confess. Okay, so pretty serious stuff. You have to have two witnesses, and sometimes getting those two witnesses is very difficult. If your crime, for example, is a computer crime and you stole material and turned it over to a foreign adversary, well, you need two witnesses that show that you stole the material, and that might be hard to find. Okay, so we seldom try people with treason. We go after from other things, computer theft, violating national security, that sort of stuff. Very seldom do we try people for treason. Okay, so 2 more questions. What rights do people have regarding our judicial system? And this is in Article 1, Section 9, paragraphs 2 and 3. So let's go take a look at that. Article 9. I'm sorry, I apologize. Article 1, Section 9 and paragraphs 2 and 3. Here they are, and I'm going to write these down if I can find them. Where's my marker? Okay. The first one is called habeas corpus. Habeas corpus. Habeas corpus. Show the body. Show the body. Habeas corpus is simply a right in the Constitution. It says you can go before a judge and find out why you're held, why you're detained. It's called arraignment. So you get arrested, okay? You go before a judge to find out why you're arrested, okay? Has to be done usually within 48 or 72 hours. During this coronavirus thing, there's been some extension of that. I know in California they've extended it to a week, simply because they don't have people working, okay? But habeas corpus simply means show the body. It means that you can go before a judge and find out why you're arrested. It's found in the Constitution. Okay, let's do the next one. The next one is called a Bill of Attainder. I-N-D-E-R. Bill of Attainder. And a Bill of Attainder, again, Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. A Bill of Attainder simply means you can't be punished without a trial. No punishment without a trial. Okay? It's pretty simple. You're innocent until you're proven guilty. So if you're innocent, you can't be punished. Okay? And the third one is called ex post facto. Ex post facto, there it is. Ex post facto, a little Latin for you, just like Latin up here with habeas corpus, Latin down here with ex post facto. And what does ex post facto mean? It simply is, let me hold it up for you while I talk about it. Ex post facto simply says that, yes, indeed, if you do something and it's legal, and then it becomes illegal, you can't be charged with a crime. If it's legal when you did it, it's legal. Okay? If it's illegal when you did it, it's illegal. But if it's legal today and you did it and it's illegal tomorrow, you didn't do anything wrong. It's still legal. Okay? Now, a reverse of this is coming into play regarding marijuana. Marijuana has been illegal. Some states, about half of them, have made it legal. So, what do you do with those people who were convicted when it was illegal? And some states are actually reversing their convictions and sending them out, throwing them out of court, saying, we're not going to charge you with the crime. Or if they've already served a crime, served some time in prison for it, they're released from prison, it's cleared off their record, it's called expunged from their record. Okay, But ex post facto in the Constitution says if it's legal today and you do it, you cannot be charged with a crime if it becomes legal later on. Okay, so one last question, and this goes back to Article 3 again. Can children pay for their parents' crime? And this is Article 3, Section 3, Paragraph 2. And the answer is no. Children cannot be made to pay for their parents' crime. In the old days, before the American Revolution, the British government would hold the kids responsible in addition to the parents for what the parents did. So your parent could, let's say, get a big fine, and if the parent couldn't pay it off in their lifetime, the kid would have to pay it off. Can't do that anymore. Okay, so what we've done is this is the last of the 10 videos that are related to the Constitution. And now after you've gone through all 10 of these videos, study them, study the questions, we will have a 20-point quiz on these questions. All right? All right, we'll talk to you later.